Hey guys, in this video I want to talk a bit about an unusual build, Vaal Flicker Strike, but based on Ignite. For those who don't know, Vaal Flicker Strike repeats an extra 25 times and combines into one single hit. So just thinking about that, wow, so many hits into one single hit, that should be massive damage. And it actually is massive damage. There are problems with this build, and overall I think it was pretty interesting and pretty fun to play. The clean speed feels great, but at the same time feels bad if the enemies are scattered too much around you, and not that many enemies, like let's say 5-6 enemies, something like that, scattered around you. You have to kind of hit them one by one, because the ignite proliferation that I have is only from the Berek's ring. Which allows the ignite to proliferate pretty much infinitely, sort of. Well, I guess there is a limit of 2 screens, as long as the enemies are close by at the moment when we die. But if new enemies appear and step on those burning enemies, we do not get ignited, because that's not how Bereks work. The single target can be great. This currently has around, with the current setup, with the final setup with the Doppleganger, it has 7 million ignite DPS. And you only need to ignite once, because there is a curse node which essentially refreshes ignite when you curse an enemy. So you can just ignite once with the Vaal Flicker Strike, with the massive ignite, and then just throw curses over and over until the enemy just burns to crisp. For that reason, I don't need to use or don't need to worry too much about generating frenzy charges, because while clearing I pretty much tap it once. Because of the Tribal Fury gives me splash, and I also have the Eldritch Implicit on the gloves for non-Vaal strike skills target one additional nearby enemy. So I pretty much target 2 enemies and they both splash, although I think that splash is not really needed. I pretty much tap once, ignite enemies, and then the ignite does the rest. So it kind of works better in maps that are closed, like that have walls and rooms. That way enemies are forced to be closer together. I actually tried to plan this with the Aura Sacrifice sword, but I could barely get 1.5 million DPS with the Aura Sacrifice with Vaal Flicker Strike. As soon as I put Voidforge on Elementalist and all damage can ignite for Elementalist, I immediately got over 6 million DPS. So if I can get 6-7 million DPS with the Voidforge with this build, and my builds tend to have like I would say balanced approach. We don't have crazy amount of damage, and I don't invest everything I have into a single build. So I'm pretty sure that this build could be much stronger, and I'm pretty sure that people could reach dot DPS cap with this build quite easily. Well, not necessarily this build, but just this idea. Like I said, the build does have some problems, and I already mentioned a couple. If there are more than one target, the Vaal Flicker Strike will flicker between 2 targets, and the damage will be split between those targets, so you're not gonna have as massive ignite. Another problem is bosses with phases. I can't one-shot Shaper Guardians because we don't have phases, except for Chimera. Chimera does have phases, and Minotaur. Minotaur, when it dives underground, it seems that it removes ignite. So the Minotaur I completely failed, I just could not one-shot it at all. But all the other bosses that don't have annoying phases and don't have multiple targets work really well with this, because you just need to Vaal Flicker Strike once. However, another problem is you do need quite a lot of attack speed, because without enough attack speed it's gonna take more than 2, maybe even 3 seconds to finish Vaal Flicker Strike. During that time you have to not get stunned and don't die. A weird thing is that I once got frozen while using Vaal Flicker Strike. I unfroze and then it continued to use Vaal Flicker Strike. That was really weird. So in the end I tried different approach to defensive layers. I'm still not sure. There are so many ways I could have done the defensive layers, and the more choices there are, the more stun locked I become, because I cannot choose if there's no clear winner. So I went with the Determination. I also have to use Petrified Blood, because for the Voidforge you want a lot of flat physical damage. And the easy way to get a lot of flat damage is to use Bloodthirst support, but that one requires you to be on low life. It does give quite a lot of flat damage based on your life. So you don't necessarily need to stack more flat damage elsewhere, you just need the other multipliers. But you do need to be on low life, so I am running Petrified Blood as well. I don't have Spell Suppression, I don't have Block because this is two-handed weapon. I only have Determination pretty much, and I tried adding Golems, but I do have some regen. I actually have over 1k life regen. I have over 1k life regen, but in the end I decided to use Doppelganger's body armor because it does give regen and it gives me the most mitigation for physical and hits damage. Actually not just hits, but also dots as well. In the final version I am using Doppelganger and I only have 7 million ignite DPS. You could use like a replica Shroud of Lightless and socket 6 more jewels, but that's also more expensive. And you wouldn't have as much mitigation. The jewels can be very hard to access, but that one would have the most damage. Mana was a bit of a problem, and it still could be a problem if I get a speech run and just try to move and use Flicker Strike very often, because in the end I'm not using life tap for the Flicker Strike. I do have life tap. No, actually I did remove life tap. I already tried so many different approaches, I forgot what I have, but I will include path of building import code with my current setup. You're gonna be able to see like different options for the body armor. I tried Kaom's Heart. For example, Kaom's Heart I would have more damage. I think I removed the wrong Kaom's Heart. The Kaom's Heart was supposed to be with reduced chaos damage taken, but if I put this on I would have 8 million DPS, so I gain 1 million DPS. I have more life, I'm less likely to be stunned, but I have way less heals and physical mitigation and less regen when I get hit. So I think Doppelganger, it also has more sockets, Doppelganger, so it allows more flexibility. So I can add Devouring Totem, which I think works pretty well, and I also have Held of Purity minions, which also can distract enemies. So I'm not sure if Decoy Totem is really needed, although I do have Decoy Totem. Wait, is it not linked to Multi Totem? Oh, that's weird. You cannot actually link I mean, you can link it, but you only summon one Decoy Totem. Huh. Okay, that's a thing to know. So I am using Decoy Totem to kind of distract enemies. For the bosses, I like to curse them, flicker once with normal Flicker Strike, which by the way does less than 1 million DPS with ignites, just to start the damage going, and then Vaal Flicker Strike. And I don't have a lot of attack speed, so it still takes more than 2 seconds to finish Vaal Flicker Strike to get full damage. I did get Elegant Hubris, which isn't really needed, but it's also not difficult to find something that for 3 points would give you 240% increased damage. Like if I were to lose these, you can see that I lose a lot of damage. So if your damage looks way lower, if you try to copy this build and your damage looks way lower, it's probably because of Elegant Hubris. And if you don't know how to search for that, you can actually in path of building, there's a find timeless jewel button. You click it, you select Elegant Hubris, any conqueror, and then you enter in here which nodes you want. So you search for something like minion damage, because minion damage does affect my damage as well because of this one. In order to get enough attack speed, I went with the spiritual command because it was closer, since this is a witch. But in general you would want more attack speed if you could. You can also add the Ancestral Protector linked with like combustion, and then instead of combustion use unbound elements for yourself. But if you're going with the combustion instead of unbound elements, you do want to increase ignite duration, because with the Dyadian Dawn you reduce ignite duration by a lot. Let's see, currently ignites less than 4 seconds. You essentially don't want to be spamming your course every 2 seconds, right? So you can get anomalous, anomalous deadly elements and anomalous burning damage. And I also got anomalous combustion because that gives the most DPS. I'm trying to remember if I actually forgot to finish catalysting my belt. My belt is currently only 10% catalyst, but with the attack catalyst you can push this 35% ignites faster all the way, I believe, to 42%. So it's actually missing that part in PUB as well. And alt quality, flammability can also give you a curse effect, so that's a bit of damage. And I don't have any of the awakened gems because, like I said, I needed duration, so I needed alt quality a bit more. But there are so many ways you can tweak this build, and I'm a bit surprised that I don't hear people doing Vaal Flicker Strike more, because you could even do a hit-based Vaal Flicker Strike, which would hit like really hard, but you would still need to figure out how to survive. So essentially that's pretty much it. But my next build, I think I'm gonna try to do a double strike with the Soul Eater buff, or Soul Eater buff, but I couldn't get it on the weapon that I have. By the way, the weapon that I have, you don't need anything special from Crucible. I did get this one, which is not good for the ignite, but I will use that for the double strike later on. Ideally you would want flat physical damage and percentage increased physical damage. That would be the best, I guess, choice. Let me know in the comments below if you tried Vaal Flicker Strike, and I would be interested to hear your experience with it. What did you do about your defenses? I have a feeling that Suppression and Grace would work much better than Determination, because you really don't want to be hit. If you get stunned, it cancels the Flicker Strike, so you also don't want to be stunned. Let me know in the comments below. So for now, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.